Welcome back to Skaters on Baseball. I'm Christian. I'm here with my co-host Schmitty. We are coming to you live on YouTube, and tonight we have a special guest. Both Schmitty and I have been big fans of Giants Sports Talk Net, Sports Talk Live on the YouTube, and we're constantly in the chat there, just firing salvos. So we got a guest tonight. We've got Eric from Giants Sports Talk. Let's bring him in.
Boom, boom, boom!
What's up, guys? Let's go, man!
Yeah. Babe Rock,
dude.
baby.
Hey, thanks for having me on,
joining
guys.
us.
I appreciate this. This
Yeah,
is a lot of fun.
Thanks for coming on. So listen,
You
we can
bet.
talk a ton of ball, but I wanted to get a little background. Tell us
Sure.
who you are, where you came from. What
Where-
you ever step on a skateboard in your life?
No, I know. When I was a kid, everybody freaking had a skateboard, and
Yeah.
back in the early '80s, mid '80s, they had skateboarding movies. They had movies for everything: breakdancing, BMX, skaters, you name it. Everybody had a skateboard. Hey, I bet I can ollie better than you. It's all that stuff, man. When you're a kid, you just did some crazy stuff, building ramps, you name it. It's a lot of fun. But man, I grew up in Tracy, California, which is now, I guess, considered Bay Area. Back then, it was like, I still consider it Central Valley, but grew up there, man. Joined the Air Force in '93. Spent 21 years active duty. Retired out of Beale Air Force Base, and then afterwards, I just went back to school, did some online schooling, got a couple of degrees, and then I've always been a Giants fan ever since I was a kid, and it all starts with Pops, right?
Yep.
My dad, he was a big Giants fan. He was a baseball fan in general, so he rooted for the A's and the Giants, but he absolutely was a Giants fan. Never forget, back then, you didn't catch Giants games on very much. It was at KTVU. Channel 2.
Yeah.
That was the only station where you could watch an occasional game. And I'll never forget, my dad, when Joe Morgan was playing for the Giants. Hey, watch Joe. Watch his arm. Watch him cock his arm. And and I always paid attention. He'd always pop that back elbow. And and that's just something that resonated. My dad, he was also a softball umpire in Tracy. He was like well known in Tracy, being one of the better umpires for softball. I mean, I remember sitting here shining his shoes when I was a kid. He always wanted his shoes shine. He would come back, it'd be all dusty, but you had to take care of it. But and again, that was the love of baseball. It kind of sucked because when I was a kid, we were really big into it. Kids over there in the street playing street ball. If we could find a place to play that actually had a diamond, we'd go play. Gosh, it was just so much fun. When I joined the Air Force, I kind of got out of it a little bit just because I was busy with the Air Force, especially when you're away, back in the mid to late 90s, heck, even into the 2000s, you couldn't catch anything like they are today. I mean, but you could catch baseball anywhere with any team at any time at this time.
It's pre-internet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was pre-internet, and then when the internet was still coming around, it took a while for it to really catch on as far as being able. Yeah, you could catch the news and the box score. Yeah, but as far as being able to watch a game, but then once I came back from Germany, man, it was back into it, man. And
you were in Germany?
Yeah, I was in. Well, I started off in Arizona, then I went to Texas. From Texas, I did a year in Korea, came back to California. I got into it a little bit there. But once I went to Germany, it was a lot more. It was a lot more difficult to follow. But yeah, when I was stationed at Travis, great story. I was able to throw out a first pitch. I got it. I got the photo too. I think I showed Dan.
Oh, yes.
I think I showed Dan. Yeah, this is back in like 2000, around 2005 or so. It was so freaking awesome. But and it wasn't because of me. It was like my coworker. He won a damn Albertsons sweepstake, the supermarket. And one of it was, hey, you get to throw out the first pitch. Well, he doesn't want to go do that. I was like, dude, I'm a Giants fan. He's like, right on. He's like, you want to go do it? I was like, sure. He's like, I tell you what, long as I could give my sons the ball, I'll let you do it. I was like, deal. Deal. Man. So
that's divine providence. That's crazy.
It was awesome. But then I went to Germany, was there for 3 years. Then once I came back, I was able to get really back into it. And I wasn't really into the whole YouTube at that time. And then all of a sudden I was like, hey, the first person I discovered for Giants was Hum Baby. Hum Baby, man. He's
OG.
he was awesome. And of course, you have KMBR, always listening to KMBR.
Sure.
Then Larry decided to open up his own YouTube. So I was one of the first guys there talking to Larry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. I was there when there was only like 30 guys. I think senior softball games was in there.
Was that
Real
just
Dean
from
was
watching his show he brought you on?
Well, that's funny because it sort of, kind of, because I would follow him and I became, once I came back to the States from Germany, if every weekend, if you ever listen to Marty Lurie on the post game or even the pregame, you heard me. I called in every single weekend. Yes. I was Eric from Beale Air Force Base.
Hey, so, we love Marty.
And so, Marty, and then Marty knows who I am, man. He's like, man, I know you from like 10 years. Are you a general now? Or no? It's always a running joke. So I'd always call in. And then, like I said, when I would be in Larry's chat, I'd always talk about baseball. They'd be talking about football. I'd be talking about baseball in the chat. I mean, baseball's just my thing. And then, and there was a couple of times where he couldn't go on, and Dan, he was his buddy over there. He's like, hey, you seem to know something about ball. You want to come on and cover for Larry because he can't go on for a week. I was like, yeah, let's go, man. I'll do it. And then, hey, I was just on my phone, just talking. Dan was taking care of everything. He knew how to do StreamYard and everything. And then we were able to branch off. I was over there on NorCal for a long time. Then I left NorCal, came over here, created Giant Sports Talk Live with Glenn.
Yeah, how'd you meet Glenn?
And that's where I met him. I met him in the NorCal chat. Me and Dan, we'd be doing our show. We'd see him chatting in there, and then we throw out the link every kind of like what we do on Giant Sports Talk Live, and a lot of stations or channels to do that. Throw out the link. He came on. We started talking, and that's just how the relationship formed. And lo and behold, here I am. I knew nothing about how to do streaming. I knew nothing about Photoshop or Premiere Pro. Knew nothing about that. Matter of fact, the very beginning, if you look back at the very first episodes of NorCal Sports, I was using PowerPoint for a thumbnail, man. It looked so, it was okay, but it was looking kind of janky. And I was like, you know what? Let me fool around with this freaking Photoshop stuff. And again, it's just trial by error now. I'll go on YouTube, look at some tutorials, and be like, okay, that's how you do. Okay, fair. And again, it's just been a learning experience. And the beauty of it is I get to do something that I enjoy. It's not work, right? Yep. I love talking Giants. I think it comes across when I'm on the show. I love talking Giants. So when I'm putting the work into it, it's like, okay, some of it, especially lately, has been a little, there's times.
Yeah. I mean, I've been a pretty frequent flyer for your guys' show for, I don't know when we kind of discovered it. I think Glenn actually passed out cards in our building. And that was how I think I noticed it. And then I went to a game with somebody in the building and they're like, hey, have you checked out Glenn's show? And I was like, no, but I know he used to play hockey or something. Like I didn't really know him, but we would meet and stuff. And so I was like, I should go in and check it out. And instantly I was like, oh, this is so different and cool because you said it earlier. And I didn't hate the 49ers until I started listening to KMBR during baseball season. It's like, dude, I don't care about where Purdy might get this. And it's like, we're in the playoffs as the Giants. What are you talking about the Niners for? It drove me crazy. And the one thing that I love about this so much is the right-hand column of people and having their comments, their questions, their opinions. 100%. And it's just so live and interacting that like, it just makes it so fun.
Isn't it so much fun? Even though like we're behind the camera, but they're just as part of the show as us. We're like the facilitators, so to speak. And it's just, I love it. It's just, that's the beauty of baseball. It's a conversational sport. And it's just, I just love talking about the game, and I love talking to other people about the game. That's where I'm at with this.
Yeah, and it's cool too, because what you're doing and what we're trying to do is it's almost like baseball talk radio without a call screener, right?
Yes.
I mean, people aren't calling up on the phone and all of that, but you'll give out the link to somebody to come on live, and we've got all the comments going. We can see everything in real time. So it's kind of cool. It's like an extension of that, but it's for the common man, and that's what I dig about it.
Isn't it awesome?
Yeah. Schmitty and I, for years, were just bombing each other with texts every morning, every single day about the Giants.
Both get up early morning, and we're the only two awake. So we're like, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Dude, I got my own text groups doing the same thing, man. We're just,
yeah, it's nuts. So we were doing that, and Greg already has his own podcast that's been running for many years. It's well established for the skateboarding community and the sort of music scene and all of this stuff that revolves around skateboarding. And this thing turned into a podcast for us. And then he suggested, well, let's start doing YouTube and let's start doing live stuff, because we were digging what you and Glenn were doing, and we're like, this looks like fun. We should do it. You know, not to take anything away from you guys, but just to do our own thing and sort of interact with you guys too. Like, it's fun. We're having a good time. So,
and I can't wait for games, like doing it after a game.
Yeah, when the season's on.
Yeah, right. Are you guys going to do post games too?
I want to.
Nice. Yeah. Right on. Dude, I'm telling you, it's awesome. I mean, and and you're not stepping on anybody's toes. Everybody go out there, man, and listen to the different content, because look, you don't have to listen live. If you want to go listen afterwards, hey, go for it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has their own little niche and how they do the thing. But one thing that's in common, we all love the San Francisco Giants. Absolutely. We all want to, foster that communication between fans, and look, I'm not always right. The chat's not always right, but hey, we're bumping things together and figuring things out. How can we make the team better? And again, do we have any say in it? No, but hey, we're in our own little world and having fun. Dude, I'm telling you, it is so much fun. And like you said, Christian, I mean, you got the common man out there, and think about it. How many times would you be listening to KMBR during the baseball season and say, oh, hell no, I want to be able to say something, right? You want to be able to pick up the phone and go, dude, no, or yes, you may agree, right?
Right.
Here on YouTube, it gives that people that ability to go, I could come on here, I could have my voice be heard, whether people agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. But it's just, you're getting your voice out there and people can hear it, and you're kind of being able to get that off your chest, so to speak. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, and it's great for the whole off-season depression where you're just like, man, when's baseball coming back? Let me look at my watch, So it's a good outlet for that sort of anxiety and depression that comes in the off-season. I have a question. I want to know how you and Glenn are able to do it every single night, and then you're doing things in the morning and at night every single day. How is this possible?
You're retired, right?
I mean, I am.
I am
drinking 3 pots of coffee a day. What's going on there?
I tell you what, man. It's honestly, it's the game, and I love talking about the game. I get excited when we're talking baseball, and I want the team, especially with the new Pobo and Buster Posey. He gets you pumped up. You think they're at the bottom, and now they're starting to come back up, and you could see, okay, maybe something's going to happen here, because I got tired of Farhan, and it was easy to come on. Honestly, guys, it's really easy to come on here and actually just shit all over the team. It's easy to do that. It's easy to do that. It's a little bit more difficult to praise them, so to speak. It's just, I guess this is how we're wired.
This is where we go like this. It's time for our favorite segment. It's time to shit on Farhan.
Nice, dude. He made it easy, right?
Oh, big time.
Give us like a 1 or 2 sentence statement that sums up Farhan in your mind.
Oh gosh.
It can even be a single word.
The best thing I could, let's say, I'm just going to say, how do I want to do this? Best word, afraid. Afraid. The guy was afraid. He was risk averse. He was so worried about what a decision that he makes is going to come down on him, rather than he playing it safe, right? I guess that's better. Playing it safe, because the guy did not take very many risks. If you think about it. Trade deadlines, you had ability to make your team better. And that's what he was supposed to be. And everybody could see it. The Giants aren't going nowhere. So let's do something to improve the team. And he did that in 22, in 23, and in 24. That was the issue. He's just afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you're trying to be risk averse, but you're making bad decisions because you're that risk averse instead of going, you know what? This is a game of intuition, of instinct, a game that's played on the field, not in a spreadsheet in a computer. And, you know, as fans, we go to the game, we see what goes on the field. We know what's happening in real time. We see who's playing well, we see who's not, we see who's pitching well, we see who's not. You know, and for some reason, it seems like there's a disconnect, or there was a disconnect between Farhan and the actual experience of a daily game.
There you go.
Right. And so that separation, I think, was tough. And then it just this whole notion of trying to play Moneyball when the Moneyball era is over. The Moneyball era of now is spend as much money as you possibly
100%.
can, not spend as little money as you possibly can and pull off the miracle. Right.
And that's the thing. The Giants lagged behind in that. You missed the Moneyball train, so to speak. Look, because by the time you hired Farhan, the spending was already starting to go, right? So now you brought in a guy, and look, can't let ownership off the hook on this, because they're just as culpable on what's going on with the Giants as anybody else. And if they tried to do it on the cheap, hey, yeah, look at Farhan over there, man. He did it on the cheap. You know, that's not you don't go into baseball to try to do it on the cheap. And then I'm not saying that you need to be a Steve Cohen either, right? You don't need to be a Steve Cohen, but hey, man, go out there and have that little bit of that fire inside you and say, hey, you know what? I want to try to put together the best team I possibly can without, as you said, the spreadsheet. Now, look, is there information out there that's valuable? Sure. Absolutely. It's what you do with that information. Yeah. I mean, how many times did Farhan probably go out on the field and watch guys take BP or watching guys take infield, whatever? Probably not. How many bullpens did he probably watch? Probably not much. You know what I'm saying? So and you become disconnected. You're looking at players basically as ones and zeros rather than, hey, flesh and blood.
Yeah.
So,
and I think when you say being afraid, the thing that comes to mind for me is the 2021 season where they call it outlier, whatever you want to call it. We won what was 102, whatever, 107 games. And then they just held. They didn't do anything. And right then they had the ability to really push the team to the next level, to like make some moves, I don't know. And it just was like, oh, Kapler's a genius. What we're doing is working. And then the next year it was like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe everyone just had the best career of their life in one year. Yeah.
That happens, right? And that the thing is as a president, you need to know that, hey, these guys drastically overperformed. We got to go into next year thinking, they're probably not going to perform at that level, especially with Buster Posey retiring as well. That
really was an outlier season because, number one, the pitching staff, those guys had career years, every single one of them. Gosman, DeSclafani was actually good that year. I mean, it was just the whole rotation was so solid.
Webb was good.
And then they hit a ton of home runs. Like they still couldn't get guys in. They couldn't hit with runners in scoring position, but they hit so many long balls. I mean, I think it's probably the most home runs the Giants ever hit in a season outside of having Barry, right? So, I mean, that one's a crazy one, but I want to go back just for a second to the 3 championships in the 2010s. Okay. And you look at what made that a winning team, successful team. A big part of that was the draft, the guys that they drafted and brought up through their organization, especially pitching. But then it was sort of like they built a strong enough team from their farm system that they could just handpick pieces, and then they had the one X factor guy that they always got, they got Cody Ross, right? They got, oh God, boy, am I? Scutero. Yeah, Pat Burrell had a moment there, Yeah. I mean, they always had like sort of a role player guy that they either brought in at the trade deadline or a new acquisition at the beginning of the season that added on, that enhanced what they already had. And now they're in a situation where it's like, we have to add on desperately because we've been playing with all these utility type platoon guys that just can't play 150, 160 games a year. And we're not going to let them bat, lefties face lefties and all that crap. That whole Farhan philosophy, it doesn't work anymore. Right.
Right.
So
right.
I know that in today's game, you got to spend like crazy because that's where the bar is at. But I do think that they have to get the farm system back into
100%.
the proper development phase,
And because that the farm has taken such a hit, it's going to take a while for them to build that up. But the thing is you can never back off on that. You always have to hit on the farm. And look, and what it does two things. First off, the great guys are going to contribute to your team. The good guys could be used to trade. They could be used as capital. That's what the Dodgers have been doing so well. Using those prospects, I should say, to be able to go get major league talent. And the key is for for the front office. And look, I'm not going to pretend that I'm a GM. I'm just this is just me thinking. You got to be able to hit on free agency. You got to be able to hit on trades, and you got to be able to, as you say, draft and develop. But it all depends on where you are in that timeline with the club. Sometimes you could build a club using free agency, right? Because that's what it dictates, because maybe your farm system is lagging behind and you can't get some trades, whatever it may be. And there's other times where you can lean. Okay, let's look at this. The Giants, 2010, the entire infield were all free agents, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Who was the third baseman in 2010? Uribe.
Yep.
Shortstop was Renteria.
Right.
Second base was Freddie Sanchez, and first base was Aubrey Huff. None of those were homegrown.
Yeah, none of them came from the Giants system.
Now in 2012, look how quick that changed. Pablo Sandoval at third, Brandon Crawford at short. Scudero ended up now. He was a free agent, right?
Yeah, he came over at the deadline.
At the second, but at first was Bell. 3 of the 4 infielders were all homegrown. I'm not even talking about the pitching. The pitching's been homegrown.
Did Joe Panic come up in the Giants system too, or did he come from somewhere else?
He came up through and then he made his appearance, of course, in 2014, and then that was all. It was all infield of Giants.
Yep.
But they also, they also made true trades and free agent pickups. Angel Pagan, Hunter Pence. You talked about Cody Ross. Remember when they used to have the waiver wire.
Yeah.
If you wanted to block that team, man, you go pick that guy up and you blocked him. And not only did you block him from the Dodgers, or was it no, I think they blocked him from San Diego. I'm sorry. But now he's on your team, and look what you wind up doing. You wind up winning the damn World Series with the guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's just awesome, man. And that's what I loved about Sabian. Look, did he always hit on every time? No. But you know what? You could say he always was giving it his shot and trying to make the team better.
Yeah, definitely. No, I got to ask you this. Are you shocked, like, when you look at what the salary has been the last couple of years and realize that if they go out and sign the big free agents, that they're hemorrhaging draft picks and pool money? And it's like, wait a minute, with this product on the field, how is that possible? It's crazy, right?
It's absolutely, unbelievable, man. It's just, hey, what's up, Krister?
Yeah.
From Minnesota. Yeah, see,
Minnesota.
I remember
where it's -12. I have a friend out there and he keeps sending me the weather screenshot. It's like, no thanks. Feels like -25.
Yeah, no. I heard the spring and the summers are beautiful in Minnesota.
Of
but
course.
Yeah, I'll stay away from the winter. But yeah, it's just absolutely. In our lifetime, we're going to see a player get a $1 billion contract.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In our lifetime, we are going to see $1 billion. It's incredible. Now, don't get me wrong. Are the owners making a shit ton of money? Absolutely. Absolutely. But man, does it, even though you're getting paid, I get it. Is it doing something to the game? I don't know, man. How do you get motivated? You have to really have some strong motivation to go out there and say, man, I'm getting $50 million a year. And it's guaranteed. It's one thing. If there was a standard, you had to do something to earn that money, rather it just being all guaranteed, because then it keeps you It keeps you on your toes. So to speak,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. Same
Well,
thing.
it's-
It's the same thing in skateboarding. Like amateurs are super hungry and they're killing themselves.
There you
Then
go.
they turn pro and they get money.
They get
and
lazy.
It's nothing compared to anything, but they get paid. And now all of a sudden they're like, I'm party guy. I got money. Da, da, da.
Mhm.
And they forget about what got them there.
It's some guys,
Absolutely. And
So-
it's not for everybody. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. And you always hear people bitch about, oh my God, look at how much money these guys make, whatever. I don't think the salaries hurt baseball. I think deferment hurts baseball for
Ooh,
sure.
okay.
Because I think it destroys parity. I think it allows teams to spend money they may not even have.
Correct.
And there's all these issues with like evading California state taxes for these Dodgers signings, where they're going to go set up a primary residence in Arizona in 5 years and collect all that money and not have to pay California income tax on that money, right?
Right.
So the problem is that it aids the teams that are already strong and have the capital to do it. I also think that with salaries, like a lot of what guys get paid for is not just the game they play on the field, but the merchandise, the
Yes.
jerseys, the marketing deals, like all that stuff that brings attention to a franchise, that brings attention to that individual player, that brings attention to baseball, right? I think the salaries are ridiculous. However, I understand it, and I don't think it's really that big of a problem. I think the bigger problem is the deferment and the ways that teams are creating a lack of parity. I mean, look at the National League West now. It's insane, and even Arizona, whose payroll isn't that humongous. I mean, look at what they just signed Burns for, $35 million a year. That's
60
more than
million deferred.
Yeah,
of that
that's
entire
more
contract.
than Mookie makes. Mookie
Yeah.
gets 30 a year, right? And when I
Right.
saw that, I was like, I'm so glad the Giants didn't sign that deal, because 2-year opt-out, 35 mil a year for this guy who's starting to decline a little bit. Like, I'm glad they didn't get him. I mean, it would have been nice, but
Right.
I don't think it's a good deal for the long term. And we all know that this is not a 1-year turnaround for this team. It's not possible.
No. Correct.
Oh God. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. But is it true? I've never got the full check mark on this. If you defer money, are you still like going over the cap? You're still penalized even though it's deferred?
No. I think it's you only
So
gonna pay
why
what you're
don't the
gonna
Giants
pay.
do it? Like, why don't the Giants get
Great
like
point. And
Yeah.
I don't know why. And here's the thing, Christian, great point, because I think we're starting to see a change in baseball and how contracts are being done. I think from here on out, you're going to see a lot of deferrals. You're going to see I hate the opt-outs, but that's unfortunately, hey,
the
the
opt-outs
players
suck?
the players unfortunately have a little bit of control over that, because hey, then I just don't sign with you, because I'll go find a team who will give me an opt-out.
I actually think that's more agent driven. I think
Yes.
a lot of guys in baseball, if you sat down with them one-on-one without any input from the agent, the guy would say like, dude, I'd love to sign a career deal with you. I mean, look at these guys, Trey Turner, the guys that have signed in Philadelphia for these long-term deals.
Mhm.
It's like, I am going to finish my career with this organization.
Right.
You're going to pay me a lot of money, but I'm going to be here and I'm going to bring fans to the park. And
Yes,
I'm gonna
there's
sell
some
a lot of gear
loyalty.
for you, And I think
Yes.
when you get these guys on these 2-year deals, or these 2 years with 1-year opt out or 3-year max, like, how do you keep the fans engaged with a team? I mean, throughout the
point.
2010s, you had the young farm guys who evolved and stayed with the club a really long time. And then there were interchangeable pieces that went in and out, right, to kind of add on. But like the fans, like everybody knows who Brandon Crawford is. Everybody knows who Brandon Belt is. Everybody
Mhm.
knows who Pablo Sandoval is. Everybody knows who Madison Bumgarner. And you go right down the line, Buster, all of them. Like the fans, solid 10 years in the seats. Those are my dudes.
Yes.
Right?
I love it. And you know what? And you know what I love about that too? Is I want a guy to have a little bit of, and then maybe I'm just a little bit naive and whatever. Have some loyalty to the club that drafted you, put the time and effort into you, and show them, hey, you wanted to draft me. Let me show some loyalty back rather than just be, look, I understand you want to make a buck. I get it. But man, how about, look, everybody's making money. I'm sorry, but no one's broke playing professional baseball.
Nope.
Just go out and show some loyalty. Hey, man, you put the time and effort to make me who I am. Now, if they treated you like dog shit, okay, that's a different story. But if they sat there and gave you all the opportunities and the tools for you to succeed, man, show a little bit of loyalty, man. Gosh.
Yeah, I think that's out the window in today's era. I mean,
Yeah.
loyalty, I used to think it was the prize of a person, but nowadays it seems like people just, it's business, it's business, it's business, all that crap. I had a question though, getting off topic a little bit, but
Sure.
going back to like your guys doing the show and stuff, what's the difference? Isn't there like a California or Northern California sports and entertainment? Is that something that's like
that's something Glenn wanted to do? It's supposed to consist of different sports of basketball, hockey. We stream Giant Sportstalk live on there for the baseball content, so that's what it was supposed to be.
Because I was thinking, I mean, maybe I'm naive, but what if all the people, like you said, the Hum Baby, Dan, all these people, what if you pick slots and did like, you guys go 7 to 8, we go 8 to 9, nobody's stepping on each other's foot? Then the viewers have this whole thing of like
constant. Oh, man, that would be so. Hey, dude, maybe that's something we go to all broach to everybody. I mean,
there's certain times where like there's a news break and everybody wants to
everybody goes on. Yeah.
On a regular basis. I don't know. I guess when the season starts, everybody's
that's
kind of
cool, man.
I think it'd be really neat.
That's a lot like the radio format. I mean, you have your different guys. You have these guys that are on for 3 hours, and then the next group of guys comes on for 3 hours, and they just go 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be kind of the same concept, the different groups have different personalities, a little bit different takes. Like, it'd be cool.
And then people don't necessarily have to choose one or the other. I mean, granted, it is YouTube. So once you air it, it's always there. So people could always go back and watch it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not like radio where if I missed Tolbert and Coops, well, it's no longer Tolbert. But if I missed that, well, you're not hearing it again. Well, now everything's streamed now, so I guess you could kind of go back on the website.
They do stream it.
Yeah. But back in the day, once you missed it, you missed it. Yep. It was done. Yeah. But that'd be cool though. Could you imagine a big old lineup of everybody?
I think
you got Even Year and NorCal and Giants and you guys and oh man.
Well, let's get into this. This is the latest topic. Pete Alonso not going to the Mets. 100% not going to the Mets. Giants interested in Grichuk. Like, here's the point I made early on before all this stuff started. We've gone through the ringer so many times, and it's fun to get excited, but don't throw the kitchen sink at it. Like it is what it is. Everybody knows that there's clickbaits in our world today and stuff. And if we were to get Alonso, I could see half the people saying we didn't want him and half the people saying we did want him, and we overpaid and we underpaid, and why did we give him up? Like
100%.
In this world of everybody has an opinion, I think it's the only dangerous part is everybody just wants to be a devil's advocate. Everybody wants to be like, hey, what happened? Okay, that sucks. I wanted the opposite of that.
Yeah, contrarian. People would want to be the contrarian. Yeah.
So I don't know. But what are your thoughts on everything that's going down? I know you guys kind of seem like you're bummed on Sasaki and the different things, but I feel like Sasaki was kind of out of our control.
It was a reach.
But I mean, it didn't have anything to do with, I think it has everything to do with him going to a team where there's Japanese people he's going to be comfortable with, and he's going to be, I'll be surprised if he doesn't go to the Dodgers, but if he does go to the Padres, it makes sense in the fact that he's been talking about how he likes a lower, a quieter team, not so much media, all that stuff. So we'll see. But let's put it this way, because me and my wife were talking about it last night, and it's like, if you're a Japanese guy who probably doesn't speak that much English or any English at all, and you're going to another country, you're 23 years old, to play baseball on a brand new team with all new people, are you going to not be attracted to the one that has people, like
that's fair.
You've played with Ohtani, you've played with Yamamoto, Darvish is your mentor, and not for nothing, but the Dodgers won the World Series and they're the favorites to win. I mean, like, in this world where, and this guy gave up tons of money to come early. So I'm just kind of confused on what he is. And I'm really excited to see where he's going to go, because I thought all along he'd go to the Dodgers, but if he doesn't, that'll be interesting.
It will be. And
it'll fuck us.
100%. Well, the thing is, I mean, and I brought this up on the show yesterday. It's like 3 of the 4 top starting pitchers on the free agent market are going to be in the NL West. Because I think it's the Padres or Dodgers for Roki. I don't think
no way is he going to Toronto.
Because that doesn't add up. You're telling me the Giants could not land one of the 4 for themselves. Arizona is better. Dodgers have gotten better.
Yeah.
Burns, Snell. If he decides to go to the Padres, now they got Sasaki. You're telling me the Giants are left out, and I know.
The thing is,
Verlander, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Look, he may have a good year. But he's 42. You never know. Let's just say you don't get better when you get older, right? You're getting more nagging injuries.
Temporary. They're just trying to tape up a hole.
Right.
Yeah.
Adames is somebody that we kind of forget about because he got signed so early. Yeah. I think this is a huge piece for the Giants. And if they can get Eldridge playing by next year in a way that everyone thinks and get another huge piece, I do agree with you guys, though. When this whole thing started, I said the Giants need Snell, Fried, or Burns. They need one of those pitchers.
Yes.
And then Snell went, and I said, good. I've wanted Burns for 2 years. I was like, let's get Burns. Fried would be good because he's lefty, but I want Burns. Fried goes to New York. Okay, let's get Burns. When they didn't get Burns, I was really disappointed. But the contract that they gave him, I kind of understand all that. And also maybe he just really wanted to be close to home with his babies, and who knows what everything is. But yeah, it was disappointing to not get another solid starter.
Yeah, that would because that's the direction. You know me, man. I was shooting for the freaking moon for freaking Juan Soto. But once that was gone, I was shooting for the damn moon, dude.
Yeah.
I already knew it was gonna be tough, but hey, you know what? Hey, I'm a carry the banner, man.
So what I think about you is I've been watching you do this with different players. I don't know if you're necessarily sold that the Giants are going to get these guys, but you start explaining to the viewers why they should, and pretty soon everybody believes.
Man.
You get on the bandwagon,
awesome, man.
Yeah. Well, we all thought Burns was coming for sure.
I thought for sure.
All the media was like, "Yeah, Giants are favorites to get Corbin Burns." But on and on and on, and it's like even like I don't know. It was just all over the place. I think Heyman was the only guy who wasn't saying it, right. And it was like we all believed that he was coming. I mean, it just seemed like it was a matter of time, and then all of a sudden, just overnight, he's with Arizona. But then when you look at the deal, it's hard to like temper all that excitement when it's like, oh, another letdown, another, we could have had Bryce Harper. We could have had Goldschmidt. We could have had all these guys, and we missed on every single one of them. And now we missed him.
I know. And how do you miss? And it's the one that it bugs me. You had Zach Maniason, who was part of the Brewers organization, right? Yeah. So there was some familiarity. Willie Adames played behind Corbin Burns.
And
then you got Burns, or you got Willie Adames and you got Logan Webb going on the media saying, oh, we love this guy. We're calling him. He got to come here. So it's like, it's lining up, man. It's lining up. And that's the part that just was that one hurt, because it looked like they were doing it. They were pushing their players out there during interviews to get this done, and it just fell flat on our face.
I'll tell you, I'd venture to guess that Buster wasn't down with the opt-out. I think that's the reason that deal didn't go through. And, like I said, I mean, I don't want that deal with a guy like that. Look, you signed Adames for 6 years, 7 years. You got Chapman for 6 years. I mean, if you're going that direction, who wants a really great pitcher if he's going to opt out after 2 years? And the only way he opts back is if he has shitty 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. Like if Rodon hadn't had such a strong year his first year, damn well he'd opt back in. Look at Robbie Ray. You know, Robbie Ray had a rough season. Of course, he opted back in. It's guaranteed money, right?
Right.
I think Robbie Ray.
I see Paul's in the chat. I see Paul in the chat. I can address that later because I got some issues with the Zach.
Oh, really?
Well, think about it. I said all along, Buster Posey needs a seasoned GM that he can follow behind, ride their coattails, so to speak, see how you're supposed to perform in this job. Because Buster Posey had absolutely no idea whatsoever to do as the president of baseball operations. You needed a GM that you could lean on and learn the craft of being a GM / president of baseball operations. And the thing is they hyped him. He was part of getting CC Sabathia. He was part of getting this guy. He wasn't, honestly, in all actuality, he wasn't part of
Was
that.
it him or his brother? Are people confusing him with his brother?
Yeah, who maybe, but I was like, don't hire a guy that is just as new as you in this job. You're it's a double negative, man, and that's not going to work out. You got to have someone who has some understanding of how this job has to be performed.
Sure.
I think that would have been fantastic. If you could look, and I was dreaming now, Sabian, if he came back to the organization, you telling me that things would have not been a little bit different? Maybe. We may not have signed Willie Adames, but I guarantee you he would have had at least a plan in place.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping that somewhere behind the curtain, he's advising Buster.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
You know, I would have loved to have seen Ned Coletti sort of pop his head back in
right? Love that
just
guy.
a sort of like silent partner, like, hey, you know, if you're leaning this direction, maybe you should lean that way instead.
I love that guy, man.
So
he's got the information he puts out there is absolutely fantastic, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what bugs us as fans and just kind of like we're so wired into every second of everything that's going on in real time. And then it's been very quiet in San Francisco. Buster has not been real outgoing in terms of like doing press and doing media. I think he actually was on the other radio station in San Francisco this afternoon. They had him on live, right?
Was he
on the game? I think so. I thought I saw something for that.
On that KMBR, did you notice he did not sound either confident or he just did not sound well. There was no, and maybe he's just he is kind of a even-tempered kind of guy, but it just seemed, especially when he was talking about Burns.
I do think too that KMBR isn't the station that it once was.
No, it's not.
It just isn't like, it's so football oriented. Like Greg said, you know, that it's like Niners talk during baseball season. Why? It's Dubs talk during baseball season. Why? It's baseball season.
Really bad.
Yes.
So
I know.
Maybe the organization is kind of soured a little bit on their relationship with KMBR, even though it is the flagship station and they broadcast all the games and the broadcast team is fantastic. You know,
right?
I wouldn't trade John Miller for anybody in the world.
Yeah, I know, man.
Ever. You know, it's gonna be a rough day when he retires, right?
It is going to be tough. And you know, I used to love Dave Fleming.
Fleming's great.
See what he has to do. Honestly, just stop talking about the balls and strikes, please. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, we can't change that part of it. Just call the game. Yeah, that was a ball. That was a strike. Oh, that looked a little bit inside outside. Don't go on. And it's like, hey, that umpire is calling the same for the other team as well.
Yeah.
But you ain't gonna bitch about it when one of your pitchers are getting a call. You know what I'm saying?
He's pretty fair about it, and you have to give him cut him a little bit of slack because it's radio. So he's trying to give you a more descriptive. You're watching it on TV. You see the box. You know, right? You know that Angel Hernandez can't tell the difference between a ball and a strike ever.
Right.
So yeah, I get it. I mean, I agree with you though. I think there's a little bit too much emphasis on that. Like, you know, at the outset, if you know the umpire's having a bad day back there, you mention it once or twice in the early part of the game, and then you don't need to say anything else, right? Because that guy's there the whole 9 innings. Unless he takes one right off his cup or something and has to leave the game.
Nice.
Yes. Speaking of announcers.
Top of the ninth, leading 10-7. Bases loaded, 2 down. And Rick Vaughn has come on to try and nail it down against Felipe Aguilar, a dangerous right-handed batter. Here's the pitch. Oh, shit.
I
in
love it.
peace, Euchre.
Oh, I can't believe it, man.
Yeah, tough day.
Damn. Today was a tough day for baseball, losing Bob Euchre. Man, that guy was classic, wasn't he?
Yep.
Man.
Yep.
Well, the thing I think that's hard for me as a fan, I've been a fan my whole life, right? And me and Christian laugh about because I'm the forever optimist. I'm always trying to make, well, this is going to be great, whatever. But the Giants did improve. We have to start there.
Yes.
The Giants are better than they were last year.
Yes.
Now, is the National League West maybe the best division in baseball now? Probably, right? Like these teams are growing fast. So it's hard because you're like, the Giants are spending money. They're improving. They got Young Hoo Lee last year. They got Adames this year. These are big pieces, like they're not just sitting around doing nothing like the Rockies and like half of the rest of baseball. And my point kind of is like, if I enjoyed watching them last year and they're getting better, I'm probably going to enjoy them watching this year. That's now, right. I know that we're all spoiled living in the Bay Area because the Giants won 3 in 5 years. The Warriors won like 4 in a row. The Niners have got 5 rings. Like, I get it. And you want a champion. But I always say this, when baseball season ends, I would take a shitty team all day on the off season. Like, I just want baseball. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, I love baseball and I love the Giants especially. And, I live 2 blocks from the stadium, so I have it different than a lot of people, but I go to a lot of games and win or lose, I'm just out there. Just like, it feels meditative. It's enjoyable. Nice. You start to get to see different parts of players that you actually, you really get some insight like, oh, this guy has a horrible break. Every time the ball gets hit, he's got a late jump. Right. Grant McCray is the best defensive outfielder on our team. Like, he can't hit the ball, but like, if he can, watch out. Like, there's things that I'm seeing that I'm like, man, Yastrzemski's a great right fielder in our ballpark. He makes amazing plays. So just all that stuff brings me joy. Right.
Yeah. And yes, keep going.
And so, I mean, do I want to be able to buy a jersey that isn't going to be someone else's name in 2 years on it? Well, I got the number 8, right?
Yeah, there you go. Hey, it works.
It started at 100 pence. Then it went to Tommy LaStella. Then it went to Conforto. And I don't know who's going to get it this year, but one jersey, 4 players.
Yeah, there you go, right? Just don't put the name on the back and you're good to go.
Exactly.
But no, you made a good point. The team is better than it was. I kind of talked about it yesterday. I mean, third base is going to be the same. Shortstop, upgrade, Willie Adames. Second base, I say would be an upgrade over Tyro because Tyro was a train wreck last year with Fitzgerald as of now. First base is the same. The catcher, Bailey. Bailey's going to be fine as far as catching is concerned. I'd love to see him get a little better with the bat, but again, that's the same. Left field, I think, is an upgrade because you started off with Conforto. Now you got Ramos. Again, he's going to still have to show it. Center field is, I'm going to say upgrade because we only got a month and a half worth of Jung Hoo Lee before he went down. And again, this is all, predicated that everyone stays healthy. And then right field, I would love to see Matos, man. Just give him the run. Yep. Yaz is a perfect defensive outfielder, a 4th outfielder, pinch hitter, DH, whatever. But give the everyday job to Matos.
Yeah, I think Yaz would be a great late innings defense guy.
Right.
Better because his hitting just hasn't been what we wanted. And I think the first year and a half he was with the Giants, he actually hit pretty well. And then it seemed to really fall off, And then you mentioned Tyro Estrada. What the hell? Like, he was killing it. And then all of a sudden he just fell off. I mean, he either had like lingering injuries, something was going on. I mean, he was like 2 different guys. You know?
It was weird.
But I think this is something I was going to say earlier. The Tyro Estrada thing, the Mauricio Dubon thing, the Correa thing. There was some ugly moments for the Giants where Buster Posey in that position does not make those same moves. You don't
Correct.
send Camilo Duvall to Sacramento,
No.
Cairo to Sacramento, and then don't like the way they just left these guys out to dry. You talk about loyalty early. It's
There you go.
reverse on that. It's like,
Absolutely.
what the hell are you guys doing? Why did you wait till Correa's in the hotel with his family in suits to figure out that we should check out his ankle? Like, it's just some of this stuff was asinine to me.
It was the way they handled it. I mean, the Giants, under Farhan the last couple of years, there was a lot of PR.
It was very unpersonal. I think that
I said that.
Buster already brings the
ones and
personal.
zeros. That's he didn't look at them as flesh and blood, man. He just looked at them as a commodity.
With ones and zeros, how do you feel about WAR?
It's a good estimation. I don't hang my hat on it, but it's a good estimation because remember, you're taking the totality of a player's value, both defensive and offensively.
Right.
And sometimes someone could be look at, I think Yaz had a pretty decent WAR. I think it was around 4, right?
Well, I'll tell you where I'm headed.
Yeah.
7.1, right under Juan Soto.
Yeah.
The guy who Haruki says is the worst third baseman in all of baseball. Matt Chapman gets no love on your show, man. This guy is good.
And I've said that. Look, is he good? Yes.
He's the best defensive third baseman in the league, I think.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
And
he hit 25 home runs.
Yep.
Yes.
He's got great base running instincts. He's fast. He hustles. He's phenomenal in the clubhouse as like the leader guy, like the Buster Posey type guy in the thing. Did he strike out too much? And especially in pivotal key moments? Yes. But was that his first year in San Francisco? Was he getting comfortable? Is this year going to be better? I like this guy. I don't know why everyone hates him. I like him a lot.
You make a good point. And I never really thought about this, Greg. Maybe again, he hasn't had a whole lot of RBIs in his career, but maybe he was pressing a little bit.
Where'd they have him batting? 4th, 5th?
4th and 5th.
Like he should be 6 or 7.
But he's probably trying to play for another contract.
Right.
Even though he signed for 3 years, you're getting opt out every single year. So maybe he was maybe he was pressing too much, and especially in key moments, he's trying to get the ball in play, trying to kill it instead of just. I should say the other way around. He's trying to kill it rather than just trying to put the ball in play. They got to work on that, man. Yes, he hit 25 home runs, but where did those home runs come? In what moment did it put him ahead, or were they already ahead? You know what I'm saying? Same thing with the hits with runners in scoring position. Okay, maybe he got a hit with the runners in scoring position when they were already up by 2 or 3. But where was he when the team is tied or down?
See, that's where the WAR thing kind of falls apart a little bit, is because in baseball, situational awareness and situational performance is everything. Okay.
Yes.
You can hit 2-out doubles with nobody on all day long, and you're not helping your team. Mm-hmm. But if you're coming up with guys at second and third and less than 2 outs, and you're getting a knock to the gap, or just a simple ground ball that gets past the first baseman down the line.
Sacrifice fly, I'll take that.
A sac fly, even, they were having a hard time executing that. They were having a hard time executing a simple bunt to move guys over. I mean, like, these are things that they teach you in Little League. Like the importance of fundamental baseball, not hitting a home run every time you come to the plate, and you can always tell the guys who have a little bit of natural talent, natural power, but they're just swinging for the fence every time they're up there. Think about when they had the shift, okay? And Belt had the entire left side of the infield. He could have been the hits king just by laying down bunts every time he came up.
Yep.
Right.
True.
Like, I mean, it's stupid to say it because it's a silly way to play. But the idea of just like, man, I could get on base here. They're giving me a free base. All I got to do is just drop the ball down the third base line. I might even get to second base, because when Belt was young, he actually had speed with those size 17 feet, right? He could run a little bit.
He could run a little bit.
And people keep making this statement right here, Senior, I love you, but this Longoria 2.0, Longoria had nowhere near Chapman in defense, especially, but at all around, Longoria is a bad example. Chapman will be better than Longoria year after year after year. I promise that. It's like for me, when I go to a game and this dude comes running in, bare hands the ball and throws it to first that no one else can make to end the game. Otherwise they lose. I remember shit like that.
Yep.
And the same way people say, oh, he struck out with a man at third. He won games defensively.
You know what? I tell you what, Greg, you're touching on something about just baseball in general, because you know what?
Yeah, it's an offensive world. Everyone wants to see the long ball.
What do people remember? They remember key moments. They
Right.
remember 162. They remember, like you said, the barehanded catch thrown at the first. They also remember striking out with the bases loaded to end the game.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that is their when that is stuck in their head, it's either they're the best thing since sliced bread or they're absolute dog shit. And that's what's the tough part about baseball is you got to take the totality of a season to really understand how either good or bad a certain player is. Because it's really easy to get hung up in those dramatic moments. No doubt about it.
Yeah. But they're
true.
everything. I mean, like a team can have a totally bad season. You're going to remember the great plays and the great hits. I mean, that's just the reality.
But are you going to remember that base hit the other way for him just to get on base and eventually he scored? Sometimes people will forget that.
Yeah.
He started a rally, and then who was it that started it? Oh, it was Chapman who went the other way. I mean, they don't remember that part.
Yeah, the guy that walks and then he steals second and then gets to third on an error and then comes home. You know, like all those the minutia of the game. I mean, that's what's beautiful about the game, right?
I love it.
Yeah, so I just want to say to everybody, Senior and Haruki and all the people that just shit on Chapman all day long, you need to go and watch the video that they made with Matt Chapman and Matt Williams talking about playing third base and it just Matt's take on Matt and Matt's take on Matt and what they both have to say about each other. And it makes you realize like this guy's really solid baseball wise in a really
he's a good guy,
three-dimensional way. Yeah.
Right. He's a good guy. He's got character. He's a good player. Look, like I said, I'm not saying that he's some type of MVP, but he's a good player. He's a valuable piece on the club, no doubt about it. Does he need some help in that lineup? I think he does.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the point that I was trying to make is he was trying to do too much last year because he was the guy. Bring in Adames. Let's just somehow say Alonso comes in, all of a sudden Chapman's batting where he's supposed to be batting.
Right.
You see a whole different Chapman. And the last point I'll make on Chapman, we can move on. But when you say Chapman sucks or whatever, who's better? Like, who do you want to replace him with? You know, like that's what people like. Right. Is Casey Schmidt better than Chapman?
No.
You're not going to get Machado. You're not going to get Ramirez. Like the big dog third basemen are already staples for their team. I'd say that Chapman is like a top 5 third baseman in Major League Baseball.
You know what it is? And Senior, he's touching on it. I think the issue is not necessarily him as a player.
Oh, he'd be phenomenal as a Yankee, right?
Exactly, dude. He would be, and that's where I'm going. Then why did the Giants extend him? Why did they sign Willie Adames if you're not going for it, so to speak? And I think that has a lot to do with it. You know, he kind of gets the blame of what the organization.
So people like him less because of his contract, not about his ability.
Right. Because hey, why are you going to pay a guy this much money when if the Giants ain't going to go nowhere? You're spending him a lot of money. You're spending a lot of money. Yeah, he's going to play a good third base.
My counter to that is, we all know that people don't want to come to the Giants to hit, so we have to overpay. And one by one, we build these blocks, and then people will want to. It's more desirable. Right. You got Adames, you got Alonso, you got Chapman, you got Jung-Hoo Lee, you got these guys that came here and like, oh, okay, maybe I'll go there, as opposed to like, shit, I'm the guy. I'm going to go there and I have to turn this team around. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you have to build these things, and to get someone to come, you have to overpay.
Right.
So
you do.
That's my whole thing about the glass is half empty instead of half full. It's do you guys want to build this team, or like I just don't understand.
I hear what you're saying. I get it. It makes sense. And I think it's just more of the frustration of the club and what the direction, because let's talk about this real quick. As it stands right now, it's just Willie Adames and Justin Verlander. What do you consider this offseason? Take in consideration the division you're playing in and the competition you're going to have to play if you want to get a wild card.
I do believe that they're going to get one more piece at least.
You think so? Who do you think? Do you have an idea, or you just don't?
Well, I hope they don't get Grichuk, because that smells to me like, Listella, Kana, all these. It's like
JB, mid. It's mid.
Yeah, it's
right?
mid.
It's
the
mid.
Same, and I don't know. It just feels weird, but I don't know. Well, I don't know who they're going to get, but I think they're going to get one more piece, and if they do that, to be honest, I'd almost rather them get rid of a couple guys. Like if they could trade Wilmer and or Wade and or Yaz, like those three guys, one or two of them leaving seems like it brings a lot of freshness to the team that
gets rid of some of that moldiness.
Yeah, I mean, Wilmer, I love him. He was a McCovey Award winner, right? But like, he's old. His legs are shot. Wade, same thing. Somebody had a great point. It's like, who cares if you have a great on base percentage if you can't run? Like, it doesn't do any good if you're at first and you can't get to third on the single, or score from second on a hit to the outfield. Like, these guys' legs are very much a problem. So as much as I love Lamont Wade, one of his biggest fans the whole time he's been here, I love the guy. And Wilmer, same thing too. Yaz, kind of like, whatever. I literally would put Matos out there instead of Yaz.
Oh, yes.
And if Yaz stays, keep him the fourth outfielder, but try to trade him. But, if they could, people aren't going to like this, but I think if they could get rid of Wilmer and bring in Ha-Sung Kim, I would give it a B. I would give the offseason a B.
If they get Kim.
If they got Kim.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm not big on Kim because of the injury.
Yeah,
that's that whole thing. That's such a Farhan move to like sign the guy who can't play for half
immediately.
Right. No, I understand that. So what's the play then? It's like, does Fitz go to first base?
When he's healthy,
Kim goes to second because he can't play shortstop. Obviously, you got Adames over there.
Kim to second, and then Fitz is just a utility guy, like a Chris Taylor in the Dodgers. He's like outfield, shortstop, second. He can play everywhere.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the problem the Giants have run into in the past is these sort of journeyman type guys who like, one day he's in left field and then he's playing short and then he's going to fill in at
what Christian's saying.
He's going to be our DH one day a week. Like, that doesn't work to me. Like, what I want is the everyday dudes, and then you have a couple spots in the lineup where on certain days I'm going to play this guy, and certain days I'm going to give this guy a rest and play the other guy, right? Like, that makes sense to me. But this idea of having a roving guy, like, how can the guy get really polished or even approach Gold Glove quality when he's playing three different positions?
There you go. Right. You got to be. You want someone to master a position.
Exactly.
Well, put him at first.
Yeah. So, and we all, I think, can agree that like Bryce Eldridge is this great shining prospect that we're all looking at, like the shiny object, but he needs a full year in AAA.
He does.
You want to do a September call up after he's had almost full year in AAA?
Yeah.
Great. But like this, bringing him up before the All-Star break, just giving him a test drive for 10 days, like, I'm not with that. I've seen that fail over and over the last 6 years.
You want him to come up ready to rock and go, right? Exactly. I'm the same way. Don Michio, I see you out there. What do you guys think? You guys kind of alluded to it. You got me laughing in the green room. I'm not. And look, I already got my show up for tonight, and I'm not even alluding to it. And I even said, I'm saying right now, he is not, or I should say, will not sign with the Giants. But what do you think? What's going on, man? He's not going to. Everyone thought he was going to the Mets, and it sounds like that ain't happening.
Well, who's in need of a first baseman? I mean, that's
okay.
The real
Put
question,
it this
right?
way: would he? Do you think he'd go to Toronto over the Giants?
No, because they still got Vlad.
Yeah, they got Vlad for one more year.
Unless they trade him.
Those are the two teams that are really going after him.
Could you imagine if the Mets trade for Vlad and then Alonso goes to freaking Toronto?
I think Alonso, I don't know. I think he would be I get what he doesn't bring, but dude, the swagger that guy has and the ball, I think he would be what we wish Soler was last year.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah.
if he's hitting the Coke bottle, people are gonna be psyched.
There, yes. I mean, do you see? I mean, and there's other news with Bregman. He is not waiting for a short-term contract.
But the Giants are not going to get Bregman. I can't see that.
God, could you imagine him at second base though?
But this is what I'm saying with Kim too. All of a sudden, you have like 3 Gold Gloves in the infield. Like these guys are defensive gems, and so that makes pitchers want to come here even more.
Bregman is a former Gold Glove winner.
Bregman won third base last year. Yeah.
So think about this. Come on,
it'd be
here I go already. I'm getting excited. Here you go. Get pumped up.
Bregman second, Alonso at first. Let's go.
Oh, well, I won't go that far because both of them are going to cost you draft picks.
Oh,
and international money. Yeah.
Yes, they're both going to cost you draft picks. So who would you rather have? To me, it seems like, no, don't get me wrong. Alonso, I think he pulls people. He's more of the central figure people want to go watch rather than Bregman. But I think Bregman overall is a better player.
Yeah, I think Bregman is a better all-around player. However, Alonso has an upside because he could play first base for one season.
And in DH.
As Eldridge gets ready for the major leagues, and then he shifts to DH. His power won't play quite the same in San Francisco. Obviously, we know that about Oracle Park. Like everybody's home run numbers team.
Like he's had no issues hitting in Oracle Park.
But if you look at his spray chart of home runs, and it's like most of his home runs are home runs in all 30 parks.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So even given the shifting winds and all that stuff, I mean, he's gonna hit a lot of balls out, right? And he might be dinging them off the top of the wall and off the bricks as well. So I mean,
true.
I actually could see more upside in Alonso, even though I think he's a totally out of shape spare tire type of dude. You know,
and he'll put butts in seats. That's what I was gonna say. Do you get hyped to go to the ballpark to see Bregman, or do you get hyped to go to see Alonso?
There you go. Alonso's
and whose jersey's gonna sell more, and how many more people are gonna go to the games? Like these are things that I hope they're thinking about, because if you have a good team but no stars, which we've had in the past, you don't have the marketability for these guys. And when you have an Alonso, it's like, man,
what do you think? What do you think it would take to get? Let's say we'll just stick with Alonso because I think Bregman will be more.
I think we can do 3 years, right? He's already offered 3 years to the Mets, yeah. And I think 3 years is fine for me because 1 year, I don't expect Eldridge in the mix, maybe at the end, and then 2 years of him being DH / first baseman. I think I'm fine.
Would you do a 5-year 150?
I don't know about 5 years.
5's a little long term for him.
He'll be 35, but he'll be a DH most of the time, though.
That's true. I just feel like what the Giants are building, like he's sort of a short term piece that could come in and help them get into a higher bracket than where they're at.
That's fair.
And then you've got the other guys who are in for longer, like you got Lee and you got Adames, and you got Chapman, you know. And I don't know. I think Alonso, like if you're foolish enough to watch the home run derby every year, like Alonso was a household name for people who watch the home run derby, right?
Yes.
I mean, they're like, who is this guy? And he's just the guy socking the ball, right? And so kind of everybody knows who he is. He has that little bit of that prestige. And I think Bregman, I mean, for me personally, like I associate everybody who played on that 2017 Astros team as like, I don't want to have anything to do with any of you.
That makes sense.
Like if the Astros came to Oracle to play the Giants, I would hope that everybody was throwing chin music at every single one of those guys that's still on that team. You know, hey, Altuve, watch out, buddy.
Yeah, I
hear that was rotten, man.
I know.
I guess Don really wants him.
Now, here's the thing. The reason why I say 5, you got to overpay to come to San Francisco. You just have to. That's just the unfortunate part. So if you want it for 3, you have to probably go 4. If you want it for 4, you have to go 5. You're going to have to add on that extra year.
So do you think in the philosophy of the Giants right now, they're looking at Alonso, Bregman, Vladdy next year, Tucker next year, and out of those 4 guys, can they get any of them?
There you go.
right? I
Again,
mean,
there you go.
if you're like, hey, wait till next year and let's get Tucker, sure, but can you get Tucker?
Right.
Wait till next year, let's get Vladdy, sure,
I tell you
but
what.
aren't the Mets gonna offer him the kitchen?
I
Like,
tell you what.
so
What about this?
I just want to be able to get who we can get right now and build these things so that we're desirable when the next big, like, I don't know.
Then this is what you do, right? Greg, to your thinking, if you're able to get Alonso, now you got Chapman, Adames, and Alonso in your infield, right? And then eventually he's going to be a DH. Does that lure? I mean, you still got to pay the guy money, right? For free agents, right? But if you go to Kyle Tucker, next year when he's free agent, hey, we got Chapman, Adames, we got Alonso at first base or DH. Is that going to lure him? And again, you could go that route unless Matos all of a sudden has some epiphany and has like a killer year. Then you don't have to worry about Kyle Tucker. It's a possibility,
right?
I think honestly that's probably really right. Well, Bregman could be the same way, but I get what you're saying, Christian, about the he's tainted. He's tainted.
Yeah, Christian wants no ex-Dodgers, no
ex-Dodgers, no ex-Astros. And I mean, look, like I fully predict that Ramos is going to be an all-star again this year. I think that Lee has the potential for that. I think that, Adames has the potential for that. So you're looking at a pretty strong group of guys within this lineup that needs help. And I think
Alonso does it, right?
Right. And you put one more guy, kind of puts you over the top. And then now when you start approaching prospective free agent pitchers or, young pitchers coming up, they see that and they go, okay, run support and stellar defense behind me. That's attractive, right?
Yeah. Right.
And it's a pitcher's park. So you put those three things together and now you start approaching some of these big time free agent pitchers or the young guys that are coming up that really have a high potential. Like it makes it more attractive. And I think that's part of the problem with the Giants has been the last so many years is it hasn't been attractive to really anybody,
Right.
I mean, that's the perception when you look at it because they've missed out on every major free agent signing. This year they got Adames, which is fantastic. He was one of the top free agents, definitely the best shortstop that anybody could get, So
how
it's just
nuts would that be if the Giants in this offseason are able to sign Willy Adames and say Pete Alonso, but you couldn't sign a top flight pitcher? I mean, that's totally opposite world of what the Giants are known for. The Giants are known for not being able to get that big bat, but they're known for getting that big arm.
Do you weird, kind of sense that they have a lot of stock in their youth pitching that like maybe they're feeling like, hey, you guys don't know what we have. Like these guys are not there yet, but they're going to be special. I kind of feel like that because they didn't go all in on a pitcher and Buster kept talking about pitching and defense. And then he would say, our youth is great and this and that. So I guess the big question is, and maybe you can answer it, is what do the Giants have to do before opening day to make this a really good offseason in your mind? Like if they get Pete Alonso, what do you think it's a B plus? Like, do you think they did great or you want more?
You're talking BB plus. If you get Pete Alonso, you're talking, I would say B plus. Yes. I don't think they're going to trade. I think Posey even admitted on KNBR, he's kind of afraid to trade. And he's honestly, to an extent, and I don't mean any shade on him, it's kind of like Farhan in that way. He's afraid. And again,
it's new to him, right?
That's the difference. There's a difference being afraid because it's something new, and it's something different being afraid just because you're always afraid. That's a big difference. But if they could manage pulling off a Pete Alonso, if they could get a bat, I don't think they're trading for an arm. I don't see that happening. No. I just don't. I don't see that happening. So they're going to roll with whatever it is. Whoever's going to be in that starting rotation. Look, Webb's going to Webb. I think Ray's going to be better. Verlander.
Who's gonna have more wins, Robbie Ray or Verlander?
Oh gosh, I hate the.
Or who's gonna
Let's go
throw?
ERA.
Who's gonna pitch more innings? Let's put it that way.
Oh, I think Ray pitches more innings.
Okay.
Yeah,
think
I think the thing to keep in mind about Verlander, I mean, look, Jamie Moyer pitched till he was 47.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No,
Verlander's
you're right.
42. I mean, we're not going to get a ton of innings and a ton of starts out of Verlander, but I think the purpose that he serves is a stopgap in the rotation to add some veteran presence and experience there, and
Fair.
as sort of a mentor / example to the guys like Birdsong, who are just still wet behind the ears, right? I mean, arguably tons of talent. I mean, you could see it, but only getting into the 5th inning and starting to like wear out and kind of come unraveled a tiny bit. Like those are the things that a seasoned guy like Verlander, like that guy's confident. You know,
Fair.
he doesn't
That's
care
fair.
that he's 42 years old. He comes out like, I'm going to strike your ass out. That's what I'm
Mhm.
here to do. This is my job. And I think that instilling that confidence and that idea of how to become a truly great pitcher is something that he's going to bring to the young guys. And I think that's why Buster is really optimistic about the young pitchers that they have in the staff right now, right?
Okay.
You know,
That's fair.
Harrison for me is the big question mark because we saw him be excellent and we saw him be awful.
And we
it was-
noticed when he was awful, there was something wrong.
Right.
There
right.
was something because he was throwing 92, maybe
Yeah.
93 occasionally, and it was just
Mhm.
something was off with him. And hopefully, again, because he's got a weird motion, man. When you watch,
Yeah,
him
his mechanics are weird.
yeah, it's funky. He's got to figure that one out, and hopefully they did in the offseason because the Giants need him, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And with Keaton Wynn and Tristan Beck, I mean, those guys had injuries and it was pretty apparent before they suddenly were like, oh yeah, this guy's going on the injured reserve and then he's going to have surgery. It was like, you could see the decline in their pitching that was pretty rapid. And you go like, yeah, something's wrong with this guy. Harrison was weird because he seemed like he was super strong and everything was going great. And then all of a sudden the velocity was way down. The control, when he did throw harder, the control went awry. And it's like,
Yep.
I don't know if that's conditioning or it's just a mental thing. You know, it's hard to tell with him. I don't think it was an injury unless it's just something they don't want to talk about. Right.
Maybe. And here's the thing. I think this year is going to be a little bit opposite of last year. I think they might come out of the chute hot because remember, Snell was atrocious the first half of the season.
Oh, absolutely.
I think Verlander is going to come out great in the first half, but then in the second half is when I got a feeling you're going to see a lot of bridging by, you talked about Wynn and Beck and Roop. I think you're going to see those guys play a huge factor there towards, again, as long as no other pitcher gets hurt, I think you're going to see them helping Verlander get through the rest of the season there towards the end.
Well,
Yeah,
me,
and listen,
to me, this year is make or break for Hicks. Like if he burns out
yeah,
halfway
Hicks.
through, then he needs to be in the bullpen.
You guys agree? Do you guys want him to start? You
Not
want
really.
him to start?
I don't.
Me neither.
I mean, look,
you got to
listen-
remember he was great last year at the first half as a
he
starter.
was until he started to wear out.
He was really good.
He throws so hard. It's like for him to go from being a closer to being a starter,
Going
and
from max effort to you got to
the pitch count. Like, I mean, because he was throwing his starts like he was a closer.
Yeah,
he was
I know,
throwing
right?
hard, and the stuff was good. The one thing I will say about the pitching is that with these young guys who maybe aren't giving you six full, you know, they're not giving you a quality start every time out. The Giants bullpen, aside from Jelly and Taylor Rogers, is stacked. The pen is stacked, man.
The pen is, and I don't want that to go to waste.
Yeah.
You know,
when you're talking about, you know, Doval is not even the closer anymore. That Ryan Walker. I mean, that's how stacked your pen is. Is it a guy of Doval's quality, although he didn't really show it this last year, but every year before that he's not even your closer? That's saying something about
the going to get better.
The strength of your bullpen, right?
I'm excited about Miller and Rodriguez and Walker. I mean, you got some special guys there in the pen.
Right.
It's gonna be interesting. And here's the way they're saying the rotation. They're saying, what is it? Webb, Ray, Verlander, Hicks, and Harrison. Where's Birdsong fitting all this? Are they gonna? Do you not want him to start? I mean,
I think they're saying Harrison because he's the elder, but there's going to be a competition in spring training.
Got to be a competition, right?
Oh, for sure. and that'll prove who's going to get it.
The loser goes to Sacramento. Has to. You
Or
gotta
maybe
throw.
a long relief. No,
I wouldn't. They gotta throw. That's the problem. Whoever doesn't make it, whether it's Harrison or Birdsong, they got to be in Sacramento and they got to be getting the ball every fifth day and throwing 90+ pitches a damn game.
Yeah, they got to get their reps and be ready because, I mean, everything can change on one pitch in the major league level where a guy throws a pitch and then his shoulders bunk or his elbow or whatever.
Right.
And somebody's got to be hot and ready to be there the following day and be in the rotation. So, yeah, I'm with that. And as far as, Hicks is concerned, like I do wish that he was more of a relief type guy just because of the velocity. Like, I don't want to see his arm burn up. Right. I mean, that's the main thing for me. He's such a talented guy. It's like you don't want to see him end up just burning out long before his time,
Right.
So, I mean, I love the guy. I love the way he pitches, man. And he's salty when you see him out there. He's
got a chip on his shoulder.
He stares guys down pretty hard. And I love that. I miss that, man. I miss Rod Beck. Beck. It's like you terrify the guy in the batter's box looking at him, right? Like, that's what I want.
He had that look. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. So anyways, I don't think this is all a failure in the offseason, and I don't think the Giants are going to be as bad as they were last year. And I think there's some
I think they'll be better.
But
I still think it's mid-ish.
Yeah. It's definitely
85. That I consider that mid. I mean, look, I'm not going 81 and 81 is mid. No, if you're a few games above or below, you're 500.
I'm saying 82 to 85.
Yeah. Here's the key. The key is throughout the first half, staying within firing range of the wild card.
Yeah.
Not getting way behind the 8 ball.
Don't get buried. Yes.
Because what happened last year is they floundered for 2 solid months and then they got hot a little bit. And coming into August, the beginning of September, it's like, oh shit, they have a real shot at the wild card. And then just tanked it, man. And then all his, Robbie Ray went down. Everybody went down with injuries, and they just called it a night. I mean, it was done in September. There was no, let's go hot all the way down to the wire and see if we can sneak in. Like it just all the fight was gone.
Right.
So and I think part of that had to do with they had a lot of injuries, but in the first half last year they were so up and down that like. At the All-Star break, it was like they looked good and their record was pretty good, but there was a lot of attrition in the lineup, and it just they couldn't get on streaks. They'd win a few here, win a few there. I think what was their longest streak last year? 8 games they won.
Oh, in a row?
Yeah.
I don't think they got to 8 games in a row.
Thought they might have gotten to 8.
5. I think it was like 5 in a row or 4 in a row.
Bad.
It was bad.
Yeah, and see, you can't get into the playoffs without having a couple of hot runs.
You got to have to. Yes,
you just beat the tar out of you go on a road trip and you take 9 out of 12 on a road trip, and then you come home and you sweep at home, right? Like that's 12 games right there, and out of 15, like you need to have little runs like that. Those are really important.
Absolutely, man.
So I would like to see a little bit more rhythm, and they go on some hot streaks, and then it makes it not so bad when you lose, 2-3 in a row, because you're still doing okay in the standings. And let's face it, let's be honest, the Giants are now officially playing for a wild card for the foreseeable future.
For the foreseeable future, correct.
So,
well, I think that I'm like a broken record, but I think that Scott Boras is messing shit up. I think Ohtani's messing shit up. The deferring's messing shit up. I see in the future a smaller window for opportunity. Like these guys like Bregman and Alonso, that it's like they're still not even on a team yet. Last year, Snell and Chapman and those guys signing like into spring training. That's not how it should be. Everybody should know what team they're on going into spring training. And I just want the excitement of like we're here every day going like, oh man, but all we have to talk about is Verlander still. Like we need something new. Like, come on, let's go. Let's bet. Like Verlander isn't the epitome of everything. It's like one move. Adames was one move. Let's get more. But all their moves should be in a smaller box so we could just be like really fired up about it.
Yes. And then you can talk about
does it.
because then you know what you got going into spring training, and hey,
Yeah.
all right, let's put this together. Let's see how they're gonna do. Put them against other teams, whatever. Maybe it's a lot more because right now it's still a question mark. We don't know who's going into spring training.
But that guy that they got yesterday seems like
I'm hoping, man.
Yeah,
I'm hoping.
A lot of people say a lot of, you know what, and two, Willie Adames being down there and welcoming him to the team. These are things that just make a good player great, right?
Yes, correct,
like,
correct.
Wow, what a classy guy, you know?
He didn't have to go do that, right?
And there, Willie Adames is probably like somebody that this kid looked up to. They're both from the same country and
Camilo Naval, the guy we all thought was a head case, decided to go down there.
And Encarnacion, right?
Encarnacion, yep.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? Is Encarnacion a solid DH? Is he a good? Do we want him?
Let's see what he does in spring training.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, yeah, he had his moments, but he's not really an outfielder.
He destroyed the Mexican League, but I don't know if, you know, like if that's comparable to the MLB.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That MLB, I don't think it's the same as this MLB. Oh, man. Well, I tell you, I appreciate it. I'm going to get going because I got to get going here in about.
Yeah, we know you got your show to do, and cool. Thanks so much, Eric, for coming on with us.
You bet, man. And, hey, you guys ever want me on? I'll come on and talk, man. You know, dude, I like to talk.
Yeah, man. Good getting to know you and stuff too.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, absolutely. Christian, Greg, we'll see you there in the chat. We'll see you, over there in Giant Sports Talk Live.
Yeah, have a good night tonight.
You betcha. Have a good one, guys. Again, thanks.
Thank you.
See ya.
Well, there you guys have it. If you didn't know already, he'll be over at Giant Sports Talk Live in about a half hour. 8 o'clock, he'll be over there. What do you think? Any closing, any wrap-ups on the whole thing? That was a pretty fun night.
No, it was a good one. He wore me out, man. He's such a high energy dude.
He's got a lot of caffeinated energy.
Yeah. Well, we should definitely, I want to explore this idea of running all the shows back to back in sort of almost a radio type format with those guys. And it would be cool. And if there's anybody else out there who's into this and working on stuff like that, we should all get together and talk about it. And maybe by the end of the season, we have some sort of a plan in place. I think it'd be really cool.
Or like maybe it's one day a week, like maybe on Sunday or like one day, because we're not going to do it every day.
Hell no.
Those guys
kill me.
But what I'm thinking is if you had like a week in review, let's say Sunday or Monday, right? It's like, and everybody has like 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, and you have the show slotted in. And we kind of, I mean, that would be taking everything to the next level. It'd be pretty cool, like having Dan in there at one slot and having those guys. And these guys in the chat were talking about starting an A's one, which I really encourage.
That would be awesome.
I think the A's in Sacramento are going to be a whole new deal. I'm excited for Sacramento, man. They're just frothing. You know, the every game is sold out already.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. My uncle said it's really tough to get tickets, but he's definitely gonna muscle his way into a few. So
thanks, Richard. Appreciate you coming out, JB, Babe, all you guys that were on the chats. If you can help, that was one thing I was going to ask him, but I can always ask him on the side. But if there's any way that you can help us to grow, we always appreciate it. Whether it be like, I don't know, telling friends, hitting the like button and subscribe. Supposedly that one is a big one, but yeah, we're just learning this stuff on the fly. So it's been a lot of fun and it's cool to see all your faces out there. Some of you guys are repeating and that's awesome. And then there's some new ones as well.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Richard's the one that sent the song.
It was insane. It was awesome. We may have to reel that into our intro.
We might have to reel that one in. Christian's working on a little intro. So hopefully by opening day, we'll have a little new flavor.
Yeah, we'll get animated. Well, cool, Schmitty. I think
it's pizza time in the Cooper.
Yeah, house. I gotta go make these pizzas. They're not gonna make themselves.
Okay, thanks to everybody again. And we'll be seeing you. I don't know if Pete Alonso gets signed. We'll be back sooner than later. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Until then, though, yeah, play ball or something, right? End stream, outro.
Outro. Thanks for listening to this episode of Skaters on Baseball. If you liked what you heard, please spread the word, give us a good review, or hell, blow us up on your social media if you're down. Follow us at Skates on Base on Instagram for baseball news and other fun stuff. We love comments and listener participation, so bring it with an audio clip or an email. You can email us at skatersonbase@gmail.com. We're everywhere you get your podcasts, and we'll be here all season long.
Let's go, San Francisco. Let's go, Giants.
I'm excited to give everything that I have for these next 6 seasons and, see where it takes us.
Adios, Pelota!
See you soon. Thank you.
And I am forever a Giant.